Hello, Americans, and other friends and subscribers around the world. I'm back again. Gonna have some more little Idaho Hillbilly story time. I had fun with that last night, and the kids loved it. And the more me and Miss Kitty talked about it, we thought how cool it is, or will be. You know, I mean, way down the road. You know, for our grandkids, great-grandkids, or great-great-grandkids to be able to see the stories and actually hear them, you know, right from the horse's mouth. You know, I'd love to be able to sit down and watch my Grandma Bertha tell me some of the stories she used to tell me, and Grandpa Kent tell me the stories. That'd be awesome. Then I'm going to try to get Miss Kitty to do some stories. She says she's not much of a storyteller, but any of you that have watched the videos know better. But so I'm going to tell a couple more from, I think, the motorhome days. We'll start off with so we're living in the motorhome, we're traveling around, and we're over in, outside of Portland in, what was that, Fairview? Is that what that was called?
There was a little town that we set up at Fairview.
Yeah, it was Jim's Flea Market or something. But over there in Fairview, outside of Portland, Oregon, we set up and actually set up out in the parking lot, which kind of blew their minds. They had never really, it was an indoor flea market, you know, and we pulled in there to set up and asked the guy if we could set up out in front of the flea market, and he thought, well, I never had nobody do that, but sure. So we set up, man, you know, we used to set up about 40 by 10 foot canopies, you know, at the motorhome there and stuff, and we set up and, man, had a great show there and stuff, and so I was getting in the evening one night, and this old Indian guy comes in. He wasn't all that old, but
older than us at the time.
Yeah, older than us at the time and stuff. But he comes in. He's with a white guy and stuff, and they come in and you know, we just hit it off. And we're talking and stuff like that, and he talks to us, and we end up shutting down for the night, you know, and dropping the tarps on the canopy and stuff like that, you know, and close up, and then we're sitting down, so we invite him to sit down, and the time is back when we had a few beers and stuff like that, so we sat down and we're drinking a few beers with them and stuff, and partaking, and just kicking back, you know, back in the old days, you know, we did that kind of stuff, and we're sitting there, and we get a little bit of a buzz, and he was a Creed Indian, man, and he reaches over, and he grabs me by the shoulder, and he says, your spirit guide is a crow. You know, man, I got a buzz. Oh, cool, man. You know, right on. So, then, you know, didn't think much of it, man. Said our goodbyes. We actually hooked up with them somewhere down on the Columbia River. We ended up going and doing something with them down there, too. I can't remember exactly what. But anyway, so all right. So, man, we did all that. And we cruised on, and we had a show in Sumter, Oregon. And Kitty's got an Uncle Jim that lives over in Canyon City, Oregon, and you know, I was telling Jim about this, you know, telling about being this Creed Indian guy and stuff, and then my spirit, you know, telling me the whole story and stuff, and lo and behold, the next day, man, he shows up with us. He's all, man, this raven has just came along, and you know, man, he can't fly or whatever, and so he drops this raven off, you know, and I'm like, wow, raven, crow, you know, all of a sudden this raven just came along, you know, man, I never, he was just a wild raven, you know, I never clipped his wings, never, nothing, and, let him hop around and stuff, and I was feeding him, you know, little things like this, and
so Uncle Jim left him with us.
Yeah, Uncle Jim just brought him, man, because he got a story, and he just, basically, Uncle Jim just was like, man, this, obviously this thing's came for you, and we were actually going from Sumter to Canyon City to set up at a show in Canyon City where Uncle Jim's at. He's an awesome guy. But anyway, so all of a sudden, then there's this raven, you know, which is pretty close to a crow, and so I end up walking. So I end up walking around with this raven. Now, and like I said, I never clipped his wings or nothing. And, you know, I'd help him. He couldn't fly or nothing yet, you know, and I'd help him bat his wings and stuff like that. Well, I walked around with this raven on my shoulder, man, all over Sumter, Oregon. And at the time, it was a huge flea market. There was, man, I don't know, 1,500, 2,000 vendors. You know, this place was just packed. Man, I'm walking around with this Raven, you know, and stuff on my shoulder, man, and people are filming me, and man, stop, man, so I can take a picture, you know, and all this stuff, and, you know, man, I'm like the big shot walking around with this, you know, this Raven on my shoulder, and I get back to the booth, man, I'm telling Kitty, yeah, man, everybody just loves Canyon, and all this stuff, because I named him Canyon, because he came from Canyon City, Oregon. They just love Canyon and all that, and she just starts laughing and is all, look at your back. And man, he had done his business all the way down my back. So somewhere there's films out there of all that. And then another, where's I going with that story? Just how he came along with the Creed Indian guy.
Hawk?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Hawk story?
So okay, so then you know, he ended up over Canyon. Oh, that's what it was. It's Canyon. You know, anytime, man, I got him, and he could fly, but he couldn't soar, you know, so he'd just kind of fly around, you know, not, you know, like I said, not soar. And, man, I was like, we were getting ready to go packing up all the stuff at Sumner, and I was all, man, I don't, you know what we should do with this, you know, guy or whatever. And so, he was kind of, you know, I didn't, like I said, never clipped his wings, so he'd go kind of fly around, you know, low and stuff all around the flea market and stuff, and he hated red, so he'd always fly over and poop on Red's canopies, no matter where Red was for however long. What would we have him, about a year or two? But he traveled with us for 3,000 miles, but any time that I'd start the motorhome, that first time we're getting ready to leave Sumner, I was like, man, I don't know, you know, if we should just, you know, if he wants to go or whatever.
Follow.
Yeah, or follow us or whatever. So, man, I start up the motorhome, and we're getting ready to go, got the trailer on and stuff, and he flies up and lands on the driver's window, right, you know, right here, and, you know, he's doing his, and I was all, well, come on, Canyon, and he jumps in, jumps across my lap, and jumps up on the back of the seat, and we just took off. Went to Canyon City then, set up a show there. So, I mean, we had this bird forever. No, not forever, but for not long enough. But for, like I said, he was with us about 3,000 miles, probably a little over a year. So anyway, so we were camped, you know, we did another show, and then we went and set up in the hills. And I remember, because we used to always, every night we'd take a hike. And, you know, just to get out, you know, and check out the new area and stuff. And we were way up this canyon. We'd had him for, I don't know, a week or two by that time. And, I'm talking about when he flew. And we're walking up, we're way up on this mountain, man. It's, you know, just this deep canyon. And, you know, I got Canyon, and he's, you know, he'd kind of like fly off here, and then he'd land on a car, you know, and he was like a doll,
man.
man.
You could just go like that.
Yeah, and after a while, you could just go like this, and he'd just land on your arm. So, we're walking along, we're on this high canyon, man. It's just steep. So I was, you know, talking to old Canyon and stuff, and I'm all, man, this is your time to soar. And I went like that, and he took off. And, man, you know, he went from, you know, this high off the ground to soaring over this canyon, man. And it was just so beautiful and so neat. And he just soars and just flies, you know. And I got this sick feeling, and I thought, man, you know, that was it, man. He's gone. So we started hiking back down to the motorhome, back to camp, and we would get back to camp, and not too long later, man, there's old Canyon up on the branch back at camp, you know, I was like, wow, man, he came back, so that was pretty cool. Okay, and then another time, back at that free campground that I talked about in Donley, this is another time we were down there, and like I said, it was right on the lake, man. There was this one, right there by where I dove for dollars. There's this area that we'd set in, we'd pull in, you know, we had, Red had he had a conversion van over here, and then we had our motorhome over here in the trees, and then we had tables set up, some of our flea market tables, because like I said, we'd leave the flea market after the weekend, and we'd go down there, and that's where we'd sit down there, man, and me and Miss Kitty and the kids, we'd all walk the banks, you know, like I said, find driftwood and different things, and then Miss Kitty would do some crafts with it, and I'd do some crafts and make, you know, Native American tomahawks and stuff like that. So anyways, we had these tables all set up. Well, one day I was down walking along the beach or whatever, you know, scavenging for stuff, and while I was gone, saying I should have had you'd be telling this story, Miss Kitty, but Miss Kitty, of course, you know, she's gorgeous now too, but she's a little hottie, you know, in her, what were we, late 20s at that time, probably late 20s, and she's running around in shorts and a bikini top. Well, while I was down there, you know, and the kids and stuff were with her, actually a couple of them probably with me, but anyway, so she's running around, you know, looking all hotsy in a bikini top and shorts, and Red, he's over working on his stuff, and while I'm gone, when I get back, she's telling me that some creepy Mexican guy had came down, had drove down in there in this old beater La Bamba car, you know, big old four-door car, and she said he was just staring at her, you know, and Red, like I said, Red was there with her, you know, so basically it looked like this old man, you know, Red had his old gray beard and stuff, this old man and this little hotsy woman, you know, are set up down here in this little hole right there. So, you know, I got back, you know, nothing had happened or anything like that, so no big deal. So we proceeded on with our day and into our evening, and me and Miss Kitty, man, Red had went to bed, and we had the kids all down, and me and Miss Kitty are having our little romantic evening with our candles and stuff, you know, so it's pretty dark there in the motorhome and stuff, other than some candles going, and man, all of a sudden I hear cracking branches and stuff, you know, somebody messing around or something messing around in the woods, you know, so man, I blow out the candles, and I'm just watching out there and watching, man. And every once in a while I'd hear something else, you know, or a rustle or something, you know. So, man, I get my 6-shooter and a flashlight, and man, I wait and wait, and man, I can hear this getting closer and closer. So, man, just as it was starting to get close, you know, real close, man, I kick open the door and I come flying out of there with a flashlight and a 6-shooter, you know, going around like this, and man, all I heard was this thump, 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 thump. Man, then I hear a freaking car door slam, man, I hear a car start and take off up the hill, and I'm like, what in the heck? And we know it was that dang Mexican guy
Come to catch a peek.
came back, was either trying to catch a peek or who knows what he was planning, but he'd never seen me when he seen Kitty the first time. He thought it was just her and that old man. And dude, I came out, and at the time, and I had hair down to the middle of my back, you know, and beard and stuff like that. So I mean, that poor Mexican guy, when he was sneaking up there, all of a sudden there's this hairy guy, you know, his hair's all out like this with a gun and a flashlight. So needless to say, that it all turned out, and it's all funny now. But anyway, so there's a couple more Idaho Hillbilly story times. We'll do some more later. Y'all have a wonderful day.